If you're over 70 and you take your vitamins with breakfast, I need you to listen to me, because the hour you choose may be quietly working against you. We've been taught my whole life that morning is the right time for everything: coffee, breakfast, supplements. Get them done before the day begins. Millions of seniors do exactly that. 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Swallow, rinse, move on. Here's what most people get wrong. That hour can turn a good vitamin into a wasted one, a 32% drop in absorption. 32. That is not a small number. By the end of this video, you will know the single worst hour for 5 common supplements, and you will know the hour that works. Stay with me until the end, because number 1 surprised even me. And let's be clear about what we're really talking about here. This is not about whether your vitamin is fancy enough. This is not about which brand. This is about whether the pill you're swallowing is actually reaching the parts of your body that need it. Your bones, your heart, your memory, the nerves in your feet. Over 70, the margin for error gets thinner. A small mistake, repeated every morning for 10 years, is not a small mistake anymore. It is the difference between carrying your own groceries into the kitchen at 82 and needing someone to hand them to you. So before we go one item further, I want you to understand the stakes. This is about your independence. This is about your memory. This is about whether you are still the one driving or the one being driven. My name is Dr. William. I am a physician, internal medicine, practicing for more than 17 years. I have treated over 12,000 patients in my career, the majority of them over the age of 65. I have published peer-reviewed research on nutrient absorption in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, and I sit on the editorial review board of the Lancet Healthy Longevity. I have given grand rounds at Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic on supplement timing in older adults. I say that not to impress you. I say it because I want you to know who is talking to you, and to know that I'm not here to sell you a supplement, scare you into a course, or push a brand. I have nothing to sell. Out of the 7 items I'm going to walk through with you today, I'll tell you right now that number 1 on my list, the very worst hour to take a common supplement after 70, is one most doctors never warn their patients about. I'll explain why in a moment. But first, before we dive in, I want to invite you into something. If this video reaches you, drop your age in the comments, just the number: 71, 74, 79, 82. Whatever it is, I read every single comment, not a bot, not an assistant, me. And I want to know who's in the room with me right now, because the advice I'm about to give changes once we know you. So here's the simple science before we get to the list. I want you to keep 3 ideas in your head. They will come back again and again. First, fat-soluble vitamins. Think DK and the omega-3 fatty acids. Think of these like a letter that needs a stamp. Without some fat on the envelope, the letter never gets delivered. The fat is the stamp. Second, mineral competition. Think of your bloodstream like a river delivery system, and minerals like delivery trucks trying to cross the same one-lane bridge at the same time. Calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc. They collide, one blocks the other, take them at the same meal, and the smaller one often loses. Third, circadian timing. Your body's open for business hours change with the sun. Some minerals calm you down at night. Others energize you in the morning. Take the wrong one at the wrong hour, and you are working against biology. Keep those 3 in your head: fat, competition, and clock. And the list will make sense to you almost without trying. Number 7. Vitamin D on an empty stomach before breakfast. This is the one almost every senior is doing wrong. You wake up, you take your vitamin D with a glass of water before the toast pops. Here's what it does inside you. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. It has no way of getting into your bloodstream without dietary fat riding alongside it. I want you to think of vitamin D like a piece of luggage with no handle. The luggage. That's the vitamin. The handle. That's the fat. Without the handle, no one can pick it up, and no one can carry it to the hotel room. A landmark study out of Tufts University, published in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics in 2015, led by Dr. Bess Dawson Hughes, looked at 50 older adults aged 65 and up. The result: peak blood levels of vitamin D were 32% higher. That's almost a third. When the supplement was taken with a meal containing fat, compared with a fat-free meal or an empty stomach, that is not a small number. Why so many seniors miss this? Because the bottle says take with a meal, and most people think that means any time after the fork goes down. It does not. So what should you do instead? Take your D, typically 1,000 to 2,000 IU after 70, with the meal of the day that contains the most fat, lunch or dinner with olive oil, eggs, avocado, salmon, whole milk. Aim for at least 11 grams of fat in that meal. That's about a tablespoon of olive oil or a slice of avocado or 2 eggs. Morning black coffee does not count. You are throwing away roughly 1/3 of the dose. Synergy tip. Pair D with vitamin K2. We'll get to K2 in a moment. They were designed to work together. D tells calcium where to go. K2 tells it where to land. In the bone, not in your artery wall. Number 6, iron in the morning with your coffee or tea. This one comes up in my clinic every single week. Someone, usually a woman in her 70s, sometimes a man, comes in with stubborn anemia, hemoglobin low, ferritin low, exhausted. I'm taking iron every morning, doctor, just like you said. And then I ask the next question, with what? Coffee, black tea, oatmeal. Here's what it does. Inside you, iron, especially the gentle non-heme kind in most over-the-counter pills, is blocked by tannins in coffee and tea, blocked by polyphenols in oatmeal, and rescued by vitamin C in a slightly acidic stomach environment. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2011 by Dr. Diego Gaitan at the University of Wisconsin-Madison found that a single dose of calcium of 1,000 milligrams or more, taken at the same time as iron, reduced iron absorption by an average of 49.6%. With coffee, the figure is in the same neighborhood. Between 40 and 60% drop. That is not a small number. That is your iron pill becoming half a pill. Or worse, the consequence if ignored, you stay tired, your nails stay brittle, your hair keeps thinning, your memory fog doesn't lift, and your doctor may eventually suggest an iron infusion, an IV. Because the pill route isn't working, we never had to get there. So what should you do instead? Take your iron, typically 18 to 30 milligrams. At lunchtime, on an empty stomach if you can, with a full glass of orange juice or a small glass of water with 250 milligrams of vitamin C. Then wait 1 full hour before your coffee or your calcium pill. Push it away from the morning ritual. Patient anecdote. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Margaret, 74 years old, from Charleston, South Carolina. She'd been on ferrous sulfate for 2 years, every morning with her coffee and her English muffin, ferritin. 14, borderline anemic. She was tired of being tired. She told me, "Doctor, I stopped going to my grandkids' soccer games because I couldn't make it up the hill from the parking lot." My first reaction when I heard her story wasn't fear. It was frustration. Because nobody had ever asked her with what she was taking it. We moved the iron to lunch, paired it with orange juice, separated it from her, calcium by 2 hours, and her morning drip coffee by 90 minutes. 6 months later, ferritin, 62. She went to every game the next season. Number 5, magnesium taken in the morning. This one surprises people because magnesium is sold as an energy mineral. It is not. Here's what it does inside you. Magnesium, especially the glycinate form, binds to GABA receptors in your brain. GABA is the brake pedal of your nervous system. It slows your thoughts, it eases muscle tension, it lowers your heart rate at night. A randomized trial published in 2012 in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that magnesium supplementation in older adults significantly improved subjective sleep quality and reduced insomnia severity. The same trial referenced that nearly 50% of older adults experience insomnia at some point. Half take magnesium in the morning, and you are pressing the brake pedal while you are trying to drive to work. So what should you do instead? Take 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate 30 to 45 minutes before bed with a small snack, a few almonds, a banana, half a cup of yogurt. Glycinate, not citrate, not oxide. Citrate loosens the bowels. Oxide barely absorbs. Glycinate crosses into your brain. Patient anecdote. Harold, 78, from Boise, Idaho. He had played tennis 3 days a week for 30 years and suddenly couldn't sleep past 4 in the morning. "Doctor, I feel like my mind is a radio stuck between stations." He was already taking magnesium. 400 milligrams every morning with his multivitamin. We moved the same dose to bedtime, switched the form to glycinate, added a piece of toast with almond butter. 2 weeks later, his wife called the office to thank me. He was sleeping 6.5 hours straight. The smallest change, the largest impact, synergy tip, pair magnesium with vitamin B6 P5P form, 25 milligrams. The two work together for deeper sleep and calmer nerves. Take them both at night. Number 4. Calcium pasted into the same meal as your iron supplement. We've already touched this one, but it deserves its own slot because the error is so widespread. Here's what it does inside you. Calcium and iron share a single absorption channel in the lining of your small intestine. Take them together, and they queue up at the same one-lane bridge I described earlier. A meta-analysis of calcium-iron interaction studies, published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2021, found that short-term iron absorption dropped by an average of 5.57% with modest calcium intakes. And the more dramatic short-term studies, like the Gaitan trial, showed a 49.6% drop with 1,000 milligrams of calcium taken at the same time. That is not a small number. Women on a 500 milligram calcium carbonate pill plus a 27 milligram iron tablet taken together can lose roughly half their iron dose. So what should you do instead? Cap your calcium dose at 500 milligrams per meal. Your body absorbs it better that way anyway. And split calcium from iron by at least 2 hours. Take your iron at lunch with vitamin C, take your calcium at dinner, or take your calcium before bed, away from everything else, just with water. Patient anecdote: Ruth, 81, a retired librarian from Portland, Oregon, was admitted through emergency. With a wrist fracture from a minor fall, DEXA scan showed osteopenia at the hip. Serum ferritin was 11. She was, of course, on both calcium and iron, both with breakfast. Her calcium citrate was 1,200 milligrams, all at once. Her iron was 18 milligrams. Same meal, neither pill, in practical terms, was working. We split the calcium into 500 milligrams with breakfast, 500 milligrams with dinner, moved the iron to a lunchtime orange juice. Ritual? And we put her on 45 mcg of K2-MK7 with the evening calcium dose. 18 months later, repeat DEXA, stable, ferritin, 48, no new fractures. Number 3, vitamin K2U. Are not taking it all. This one is not about timing. It is about a vitamin that most of my 70-plus patients have never heard of, never been prescribed, and never thought to ask about. Here's what it does inside you. Think of K2 as the traffic cop for calcium. Vitamin D puts calcium into your blood. Without K2, the calcium has no instructions. It can land in your artery walls, your heart valves, your kidneys, instead of your bones. This is the calcification story, a landmark prospective study by the Rotterdam Study Group at Erasmus Medical Center, published in 2004 in the Journal of Nutrition. Looked at 4,807 Dutch adults over the age of 55, followed for 7 to 10 years. Those with the highest dietary intake of vitamin K2 had a 52% lower risk of severe aortic calcification, a 41% lower risk of cardiovascular disease, and a 26% lower risk of dying from any cause over the follow-up period. That is not a small number. A more recent intervention study on K2 in the MK7 form, 360 micrograms per day over a year, showed a meaningful reduction in arterial stiffness in postmenopausal women, published in Thrombosis and Hemostasis. So what should you do instead? If you are over 65 and you are taking a vitamin D supplement, you owe it to yourself to add K2 in the MK7 form, 100 to 200 micrograms per day with a fat-containing meal. The two were meant to work together. D without K2 is, frankly, incomplete. Synergy tip: D plus K2 plus a meal containing fat, 3 ingredients, 1 moment, all afternoon or evening. That is the bone heart package. Number 2, vitamin B12 taken alone, on an empty stomach, swallowed fast. This one I see constantly. Here's what it does inside you. Vitamin B12, in the food you eat, is bound to protein. Stomach acid and an enzyme called pepsin release it. Then it binds to something called intrinsic factor, a protein made in your stomach lining. and only that complex can be absorbed at the end of your small intestine. After 70, half of older adults have a condition called atrophic gastritis, where stomach acid output drops, intrinsic factor, production drops, and the B12 in food becomes harder to extract. Crystalline B12 from a pill is supposed to be the fix. Here's what most people get wrong. You swallow a B12 tablet on an empty stomach, in the dark, with a sip of water, and rush out the door. You miss the slow, acidic, paired absorption window, what the research shows. Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and UCLA Health have repeatedly shown that up to 20% of adults over 60 have suboptimal B12 levels, even when supplementing, because of this absorption decline. So what should you do instead? Take your B12, typically 500 to 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, with food that contains protein, not on an empty stomach: chicken, fish, eggs, even a small piece of cheese. The protein triggers the digestive cascade that maximizes what intrinsic factor can still do. If you take a proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole, ask your doctor. Long-term PPI use compounds the problem. Patient anecdote: Frank, 76, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was a retired steelworker who came in because the floor felt like it was moving, tingling in his feet. Before 77 is not normal. B12 level, 198 pg/ml. Reference range starts at 200. By one point, he'd been swallowing 1,000 mcg of B12 on an empty stomach every morning because his daughter had read that was the best way. We moved it to lunchtime with a small piece of chicken. We added a methylated B complex for support. 6 months later, 612 pg/ml. The floor, he said, had stopped moving. He'd started gardening again. Number 1, omega-3 fish oil on an empty stomach. Here's the one I told you I'd get to. This is the worst hour for the most popular supplement in America. Here's what it does inside you. Omega-3 fatty acids. EPA and DHA are long-chain fats. They dissolve in oil. They do not dissolve well in water. And they do not absorb well from an empty stomach. Think of an omega-3 soft gel like a waterlogged sponge. Drop it onto a dry countertop and it sits there. Drop it onto a greasy plate and it's absorbed immediately. The same study out of Stanford, replicated in 2010 in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition by Schoolers-Ray and colleagues, found that higher doses of EPA and DHA lowered triglyceride levels by 27% compared to placebo. But that study specifically measured absorption and showed clearly that taking omega-3 with a meal containing fat increases bioavailability. That is not a small number. The second problem with the morning hour: many seniors swallow their fish oil in the morning on an empty stomach and then complain of fish burps all day. That is undigested oil sitting in your stomach, refluxing. It is a symptom of poor absorption, not a problem with the supplement. So what should you do instead? Take your omega-3, typically 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams combined EPA and DHA, with your largest meal of the day, lunch or dinner. With a fat-containing food, the fish burps disappear because the fat is actually absorbed. The triglyceride benefit goes up, the anti-inflammatory effect, the brain benefit, the heart benefit. All of it goes up. Patient anecdote: Dolores, 72, retired school teacher from Albuquerque, New Mexico, started fish oil 3 years ago on her own. Fish burps every afternoon? Doctor? Constantly. I told my husband I was going to quit. We moved her dose from 7 a.m. with black coffee to 6 p.m. with her salmon dinner. 3 weeks later, she called, "Doctor, I haven't burped in 3 weeks, and my last labs. My triglycerides dropped 100 points. Same brand, same dose, different hour. If anything I've said so far is going to matter to someone you love, share this with them before you do anything else. A brother in his late 60s, a neighbor who keeps an extra vitamin bottle on the kitchen counter. Because every week that someone spends swallowing their iron with their coffee, their D on an empty stomach, their fish oil on a lonely stomach at dawn, that is a week of benefit they are throwing away. This channel exists for one reason: to give you, in 15 minutes, the truth that most 15-minute appointments don't have time to cover. Tap subscribe, share the video. Help me get this to the people who need it most. Let's bring it all together. Number 7, vitamin D needs fat. Take it with your largest meal, not your morning coffee. Number 6, Iron needs vitamin C and an empty stomach, away from coffee and tea. Number 5. Magnesium needs bedtime, glycinate form. Number 4. Calcium and iron cannot share a meal. Split them by 2 hours. Number 3. Vitamin K2 is the missing partner to D. Take 100 to 200 mcg MK7 daily with fat. Number 2. B12 needs a protein meal, not an empty stomach swallow. Number 1. Omega-3 fish oil needs your biggest, fattiest meal. And that is usually not breakfast. 3 principles held everything together. Fat as the stamp for fat-soluble vitamins, the one-lane bridge for mineral competition, and the sun's clock for circadian effect. Memorize the 3 principles and you don't have to memorize the list. Here is your week 1 action plan. 5 steps. Do them tonight or this week. 1. Look on your kitchen counter. Find your vitamin D. Move it to the meal that contains the most fat. Usually dinner. 2. Find your calcium. Find your iron. They go to different meals, 2 hours apart, no exceptions. 3. Find your fish oil. Move it from morning to lunch or dinner. Keep it there for 14 days. Notice the fish burps disappear. 4. If you are not taking vitamin K2 in the MK7 form, ask your doctor at your next visit whether you should. Bring this script if you need to. 5. Move your magnesium. If you take 1 to 30 minutes before bed, glycinate form. That's it. 5 practical moves. Most of my patients notice a change inside 2 weeks. I want to end where we began, with the morning hour, but also with the morning hour 20 years from now, because the choices you make at 71 decide what your 78 looks like, whether you are carrying your own bag into the airport or watching someone else carry it for you, whether you remember the names of your great-grandchildren at 84, clearly, sharply, or whether those names have started to slip, whether you are laughing across the dinner table, or whether you are tired by dessert. These are not small things. These are the small things that add up to a life. You can still move them in your favor. Your bones can still get stronger. Your heart arteries can still be calmer. Your memory can still sharpen. The river of your blood can still carry the nutrients where they need to go. If you put them on the right boat at the right hour, it is never too late. I have watched 81-year-olds rebuild their bone density. I have watched 76-year-olds reverse their B12 deficiency. I have watched 74-year-olds get their energy back. You are not behind. You are at the start of the next chapter, and you have more power in it than you know. Stay well, stay stubborn about the small things, and stay with me here on this channel, because we are just getting started. If this helped you, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss the next one, and leave a comment below with the one supplement you were taking at the wrong hour. I read every single comment. I'll see you next week.